What is a family secret you have learned when you were already an adult? Growing up, I had a great aunt that had no children of her own. In the living room of her house were dozens and dozens of different sized dolls. I just thought that she loved dolls. Turns out that her abusive first husband threw her down the stairs when she was pregnant and she lost the baby. I know one of my dad's cousins tried to meet an underage girl that turned out to be an undercover cop. My great aunt had a kid that absolutely nobody in the family knew about. She moved to the West Coast for work when she found out, and stayed long enough to have the baby, recover, and give him up for adoption. Apparently she never even knew who the father was, and it was the 50s, so that was kinda frowned upon. She also stayed in touch through his whole life, and visited as often as she could. A couple years ago she finally told everybody, and he has been a beloved member of the family ever since, that my grandmother was adopted, sort of. My great-grandmother miscarried her child. At the time, 1930s/40s, I think, all women were put in the same ward in the hospital after they gave birth, even if the baby didn't survive. Anyway, there was a woman in the bed next to my great-grandmother who had just given birth, but she didn't want a child. She wanted the hospital staff to get rid of it. So they just gave the baby to my great-grandmother. No paperwork or anything. They had one woman who was distraught having lost her baby, and another distraught having got her baby, and I guess just thought, I know how to fix this. Seems so weird by today's standards, and definitely illegal, but I guess it was perfectly logical. As far as I know, they all lived happily ever after. That my mom had 2 abortions after my birth. She also told me that she wanted to abort me too, but realized the pregnancy too lately. My mum's mother was abusive to my mum. I never met my grandmother as she died before I was born, but since I started opening up to my mum about my own traumas, she has opened up to me a little about hers. It explains so much about her and how she treated me growing up. She says she is over it because it is no longer relevant, but she really isn't. Skeptical edited for clarity. That my holier-than-thou, Catholic bitch of a mother had a 3-year affair with a very married man.